A major blow for the Harris campaign today after the Manhattan judge in Trump's hush money case delayed sentencing until after the election.
Big news today is that the Manhattan DA witch hunt against me has been postponed because everyone realizes that there was no case because I did nothing wrong. It's a witch hunt. It's an attack by my political opponents in Washington, D.C. and Comrade Kamala Harris.
Harris was hoping for Trump to hit that legal pothole in October. And now, legally, Trump has a clear road ahead. Reality is setting in. And Obama world is telling Democrats not to get your hopes up. They say it's very possible that if the election were held today, Trump would win. That's what we've been telling you. Democrat numbers guru Nate Silver says stop ignoring the elephant in the room. Quote, the Electoral College is starting to look like a challenge for Kamala. After a slew of what Silver calls mediocre polls for Harris, he's forecasting Trump winning every single battleground by 1 to 4 points. Silver gives Trump a 62% chance of winning. And the Clintons are sharpening their knives.
If the people do not get information about the candidates, how they can debate, what their policies are, how they handle press questions, how they're ready for the job, how can they make intelligent choices? And, you know, if the voters don't make intelligent choices, over time, we are going to lose our way. It's the responsibility of the voters. If candidates don't measure up, then don't vote for them.
Even Biden's going to watch Tuesday's debate with low expectations. His team thinks Kamala's public performances are uneven and often not reassuring. They worry she struggles under the glare of national pressure. They find her risk-averse to the point of paralysis. So if Kamala Harris chokes under pressure and freezes with indecision, shouldn't they be warming her up with interviews instead of throwing her into the biggest debate of her life cold?
Is it a risk to put all your chips on one debate when she hasn't really been able to do any sort of Q&A with anybody except for in debate prep?
Well, I reject that. She sat down with Dana Bash for a long interview on CNN that aired
One
just
interview
a week
in
ago.
47 days.
Well, you know, I know you guys are just now paying attention to her now that she's the presidential candidate.
She hadn't done a lot of interviews. And saying debate prep's going well, yelling that to the pool is not just taking questions from the press.
It's funny because it's like you're acting like she's in the witness protection program.
Not witness protection, but she's strapped to a podium inside debate camp, surrounded by counselors, torturing her with back-to-back 90-minute mock debate sessions. No naps, no breaks, and it's not going well. People are leaking. And now Democrats expect Trump to have a great night.
People know Donald Trump. He is a skilled debater. He is a guy who's willing to say anything at any time just to get through a question. And he's a showman. He's been on TV before. Yeah. So don't underestimate Donald Trump.
So what's going on behind the scenes at debate camp, I wonder? Well, her Frankenstein campaign still isn't sure where she stands on anything. And an insider says prepping Kamala is frustrating. Because while they're trying to train her on how to deliver a good, punchy soundbite, she actually wants a thorough understanding of every issue that could possibly come up. Basically, Kamala is still trying to learn what her policies are. And her team's like, Madam Vice President, it's a little too late for that. Let's not talk about the policies. That's not going to help. Here's a few zingers. Just memorize them. If you start debating policy, you're going to lose. And how does Kamala not have a thorough understanding of the issues by now? The only issues that are going to come up are going to be the economy, the border, abortion, and wars. This isn't Jeopardy. Moderators aren't going to ask her about 18th century European literature. Debate prep should be as easy as going on The View.
I don't know what Donald Trump is doing. I think he's preparing. I do know what Kamala Harris is doing.
Yes.
And I can tell you that no woman has reached the levels that Kamala Harris has reached without being incredibly prepared her entire life.
She didn't reach those levels by herself. She lucked out. All of these leaks about Kamala over-preparing, translation. She's underprepared, and she's just trying to cram it all in at the last second. The only card Kamala can play is the excuse me moment with the finger snap. Is Trump going to take the bait?
I'm going to let her talk because, you know, you've all seen it. There are those that say that Biden is smarter than she is, okay? And if that's the case, we have a problem. You can go in with all the strategy you want, but you have to sort of feel it out as the debate's taking place. I've seen it. You go in there and you have a strategy. Mike Tyson made the statement, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. It's true. It was a brilliant statement. It's a brilliant statement. The way I look at debating, I think I've been really practicing all my life for this stuff. I mean, ultimately, that's what it's sort of about.
But if you know she's going to try and annoy you, but that's not
Well, I
gonna
think
happen.
we have a bigger problem. I think that ABC will try and annoy me.
I bet that too.
We've covered Trump for almost 10 years. The only thing that's going to put him on the defensive is if you say he went bankrupt or he's a bad golfer. You can say anything else about the guy, and they have, and he just shakes it off. But he can't spend the entire time defensive. He needs on Tuesday to have her on the defensive the whole night. He needs to methodically define her with repetition. He's good at that until it sinks into the voters' brains. The Clintons, who debated Trump, know what to expect and are feeding her lines.
My hero, my pal, my former boss, Bill Clinton, had it right at the convention. Don't count the lies, count the eyes. The back half of Kamala's answer to you is right. Yes, he's a fighter, but he fights for himself. It should be one of the through lines in this debate for Kamala Harris is, I'm for the people, Trump's for himself.
It's the one line Kamala can remember. Now she's a populist.
We know what we stand for, and we stand for the people. And I am a fighter for the people.
Yeah.
I care about the people. Kamala Harris for the people. And to be clear, my entire career, I've only had one client, the people.
As soon as Trump hears that, he should just turn to her and say, yeah, you're for the people, all right. The people of Mexico, the people of Venezuela, the people all over the world who you let into this country. You're not for the American people. The only people you're for are the rioters you bailed out, or the IRS agents you hired to make our lives miserable. That's not the people. I put the American people first. I created jobs for the American people, not people from other countries like you did. I spend time with Gold Star families, the ones you've never called, with angel moms, the ones you've never called. I'm for the people in our police departments, the ones you wanted defunded. The people who want lower prices and safer streets, you're not for those people. You had your chance and you blew it. Where have you been?
She's been part of the Biden administration. I mean, she has been part of the Democrats have been in control of the country for the last 3 going on 4 years. And you are still seeing this in the polling. I mean, these working class voters are telling us right now that more of them are with Donald Trump than Kamala Harris. Why? What is it about what you guys have been doing for the last 3+ years that explains that?
Well, I think, again, we're trying to talk to the voters and explain this message. We've got 60 days until the election. We don't have time to sit around and think about why over the last few years certain things may have happened or may not have happened. We've got to go win an election.
You don't have time to think about why no one likes you? You just lost $20,000 of purchasing power. You lost your job doing illegal, and you can't buy a house because rates are too high. And what does the Kamala Harris campaign say? Certain things may have happened or may not have happened, but we don't have time to think about that. They don't care about you. They just care about winning. You can lose, but if they win, that's all that matters to them. Kamala had 4 years to be there for the people. She never showed up. The people are asking her, where are you?
Just like basketball players, football players, after the games are over, they get, the analysts like to ask them questions, how was the game and, how you feel about the loss or how you feel about the win. You got to answer them. The same thing with her. She's a public figure, So you just can't ignore the public, That's the position that you win. It's a responsibility.
One candidate's hiding from the people. The other candidate this week did a town hall, held a presser, did an hour podcast, spoke to business leaders, and today spoke with police officers.
I respect you so much. I admire you. And as your president, I will always back the blue as I did. I backed the blue more than any other president. I was not a defunder like Kamala. She was a defunder. She was a 10-year defunder. When you want to defund for 10 years, that's the end of that one. I think I could leave right now and you say there's no way that we're not voting for that guy.
Kamala has spent the last 4 years looking out for herself, worried about her image, blowing off her assignments because she was afraid to fail and how it would look to her, wasting her staff's time holding mock dinner parties so she didn't get nervous going to dinner parties. She kicks everybody out of convenience stores before she goes in. How many times have you seen Kamala dive into a crowd and start hugging the American people? How can you be for the people if you're afraid of the people? Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.